It was a fine day on the island of Sodor. Many engines were running properly, and there were no malfunctions today. And so everyone... We haven't gotten to that part yet, but I'm trying to get to that part. Unfortunately, some idiotic criminal left one of his crossbows on the middle of the track. So the engines had to do their best to avoid it. Actually, there were many crossbows throughout the island, including a level crossing where road vehicles go by. This was unfortunate.
Yeah, it sure is. Because I was hoping to cross, and now I can't.
Said Madge.
What is that anyway? It looks like a bow of cross.
You see, there were many sprinted on that one. Like, the dude left like a crossbow on top of the waterfall. Didn't really go well. Anyway, for that matter. Anyway, Rosie decided today was the day she would get revenge on her arch nemesis, Thomas. Just Thomas. Thomas. That's what it is. That's how it is. You see, Thomas and Rosie have been rivals for a long time. At first, Rosie tried to be Thomas' friend, but at first, Thomas didn't think he had or needed any friends. He already had family. So, the two engines were very cross at each other. They didn't really look at each other, so they could never really tell if they were mad because they wouldn't look at each other like they ever would. Anyway, Rosie decided today would be the day that she would get back at Thomas if she saw him.
Oh, I hope I don't come across that disgusting blue engine. And if I do, I hope his wheels fall right off.
Then Madge came by.
Hello, Rosie. Hi, Madge. I'm just trying to avoid that disgusting you-know-who. Oh, who do you mean? Said Madge. Oh, you know, that no-good blue weasel named Thomas the Tank Engine. Oh,
Then Boko showed up. For inspiration, Rosie.
Oh.
For information, Rosie, his name is Thomas Blinton, as whoever built him share the same last name as their engine. As technically they're their father or mother. Depends. It depends on what gender they are.
Well, la-di-da, I don't care a lick about Thomas Blinton, Flim-Flam, Flick-Flack, whatever his name is, and I hope his wheels fall off.
Okay, I'm leaving. Boko was fed up with Rosie. Madge is really never fed up with anyone, so because she's friends with everyone, she's just. I'm surprised it hasn't gotten the best of her yet. There were still a lot of crossbows around the track. I don't know how clumsy this man was, but he kept leaving so many crossbows everywhere, and engines had to do their best to avoid it. Beep, 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 beep. A whistle came, and the crossbow was sitting in the middle of the track. Splatter and dodge did not want to be hit by a crossbow. Percy was eventually gonna be finishing his morning jobs before he goes on his first break today. He was shunning trucks in the yard until he saw his best friend Thomas come along the line. Thomas and came along the other side of the track where Percy was standing.
Oh, Percy.
Good morning. I heard Boko say something about Rosie trying to get back at you, so you better be warned.
Well, I don't know about that. I think she's probably just a little upset with me, but she'd never do anything to harm me, right?
You pushed her into a sawdust pit, Thomas.
I know, but it was just for fun. I thought she was having a good time.
Percy realized something. Thomas, stop this jokey stuff with me. She was frowning. You were taking her and that coach hostage. Guys, just so you know, even though it's not even an official episode, it's still canon. But all those new characters being there aren't canon. They're not here. Oh, cool. Anyway, Percy decided that it turned out that Madge had actually told everyone about what Rosie had said. So now basically everyone on the railway knew about what Rosie was going to try to do. Except for Thomas. All he knew is that he was planning to get back at him, and he wanted to be prepared to get back at his arch nemesis. Thomas set off. Rosie then came by to Percy. To when Percy had the truck. She wasn't going to say anything. She also had a lot of trucks. One was a coach. I don't know why. One was just a brake van. I don't know why it was not at the end of the train. Like, one was just another coach. Oh, okay. That was actually kind of funny. Wow. And there was one was actually one was okay. So one was an ambulance. I don't know why. And one was just this identified engine that isn't even real in the Thomas and Friends series. She came by with her plow of truck. She was coming by with her plow of whatever she's trying to pull. I have no idea what she's trying to do. Percy rammed his trucks into Rosie, which surged her off the line. Percy, as Thomas's loyal friend, did not want to see this happen.
Queen Rosie.
Yes. And that's not very good. Then Madge came over.
Oh dear, what is happening?
Said Madge. Then the fatty showed up. Seriously, the music stops whenever he falls on his face. Said the theme. Rosie was derailed, and her train was kind of just like hanging on by a thread.
Aww.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. Yeah, with the coaches, the brake van, the other coach, the ambulance, this random train that no one ever knew. So why is he even here? So Rosie was almost off the track, and then Thomas came by with what did he come by with? Oh, okay. Thomas came by with his iconic coaches, which for some reason his trackmaster, Annie and Clarabelle. Peep, 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 said Thomas's whistle. Said Thomas. Well, it was actually his whistle. He then saw Rosie's crash.
Rosie, you know when I pushed you in the sawdust.
Also, Madge, don't tell everyone. It'll just be embarrassing. Oh no, that would be even worse than ever, said Madge. But it turned out she didn't even need to tell everyone. Practically every engine that was canonly introduced showed up at Rosie's expense. Splatter and Dodge showed up. Percy showed up. Arthur showed up. But Boko showed up. I don't really know where Kenji was, but he showed up. I guess. Anyway, everyone was having too much fun at Rosie's expense, so she also wanted to get back at Percy next. We must deliver her back on the line. Eventually, Rosie's driver had to come out to examine the situation. We slipped on a curb. One of those crossbows in the middle of the track, said Rosie's driver. Crossbows? Where are these, crossbows? They're around here, sir, said Madge. Okay, we'll come look. Said Boko, who for some reason sounded like he was honking his horn, even though, did diesel even have horns? I don't even know. Trains even have horns. He's a diesel, but still. Anyway, it turned out is that the crossbow was actually underneath and was actually about to cut through one of the coach's chassis. Oh no! Said the coach. Go backwards! The group surged. Oh, it hurts so bad! Said the coach. We will help! Said everybody. Said the brakeman, the other coach, the ambulance, and the engine that we've never even been introduced to. The crossbow was actually underneath and ripping through the chassis. So Tom and Matt tried to pick it up, but it was still cutting through either way. They decided they must take the train away. But it turned out that Rosie was actually light as a feather. So when they ended up pulling, it kind of pulled her off. She kind of fell down. Wow, that's a generic crash, said Kenji. Generic indeed, said Rosie, feeling like that was somehow an insult when it was really just a fact. By that time, the mess still hadn't cleared up. A lifeboat had been came to make sure that any injuries weren't. No one was hurt during the tragic incident of the fireman and driver. They both test resulted fine. There was also a train on the works that was gonna pick up Rosie herself to see if she had any damage. Not many engines had actually stuck around after that. But one eventually did return to the scene. It was Thomas, of course. Thomas showed up to look at the damage Rosie had caused. It ain't funny, said Rosie, who was being levered back onto the track. The train had realized that the coach is going to break any second now. So they were going to try to take a coach. So they were, they can't go to there. Whatever. They were going to try to take the coach to the emergency room. However, Thomas thought the whole situation got up funny. But it backfired to him when Percy accidentally slammed on his brakes by accident. Face to face. Just great. Thomas was trying to pull back. The two were stuck. Coupled. The rails were coupled. They couldn't get out. They were stuck. Madge tried. Madge only could think of one thing to help. It was the tragic crossbow. Let's make sure this works. Eventually it did. But that didn't stop all the constant damage due to the crossbows around the island. Boko was shunning trucks until one of the trucks screamed like a 6-year-old girl. For some reason, it turned out Boko actually figured it out when he went around the same distance they were. Ow! Said Boko. He had just realized he had just stepped on a crossbow. Well, not really stepped, they're on feet. It was not a good sight, but worse was to come. Kenji had put him down in the middle of the track. And Dodge needed to get the coal back into him. A lot had happened since that incident. What happened to the engine, you ask? Well, Matt decided for the sake of someone else's friendships, she couldn't tell everyone about everything. Eventually, the construction crew had to leave. Bye, Mr. Boat, said Madge. Bye. The boat had sailed off. Madge was a little sad. But then the crane had to go. The crane wasn't actually alive. And no, it wasn't dead. It was never alive. He eventually even though the crane was faceless, it picked up Madge. Bye, said Madge. The crane, I wish it could stay alive, but it could say bye, but it wasn't alive, so get him in the picture. Percy learned to be more careful with his friends and decided that he shouldn't have shoved backwards like he had. Shouldn't have almost embarrassed my friend like that. Percy was trying to make himself feel better. He felt like a horrible guy. However, he knew that Thomas felt the opposite way, and that made him feel happy. Splatter, on the other hand, had to do something other than that. Splatter was trying to clear all the crossbows, but no one really knew where to put them. They kind of flying, and they all went into a tree. And then, and Arthur also had the strength of motivation as he saw what happened to Rose's actions. He didn't want anything to happen to him. Like that to happen to him. As for Thomas, he realized maybe his pranks were going too far. He'd never be Rosie's friend, but something just wasn't right. Thomas decided he needed to be more careful in the future, or he'll go buffer to buffer with his arch enemy next time. What happened to the coach and Rosie, you may ask? Well, the coach was still in a medical condition. The other people in the train tried to help the coach, and please ignore the coach. The train looks really stupid. Hey, arg, 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 arg! Rosie was pulling hard. Oh! The train eventually broke through, and Rosie was surging through everywhere, pretty much. However, Rosie wished she was more careful. She was stuck to Percy. Get off! Percy eventually had to leave off, and he went extra far this time. The coach was eventually saved. More on that next time. Except they won't be mentioned at all next time.